Hello, everyone. This is Starzenith33, Laura Francesca. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. And I take it's a yes. So, anyway, I'm just having a little fun here. And I'm just opening my app right now. Hang on one second here. I goofed up. As you guys can tell, I am new to streaming live, and let me just put this right here. Okay. I am new to live streaming, so I'm just trying to get familiar. I'm just jumping in this. It is going to expire in May. I think it's May 18th, I believe. May 18th, 2026. Podbean's no longer going to be doing lives. They are transitioning into something different. With AI and so forth, and changes that are happening in the podcast here. And so we're just going to have to adjust and become more creative and so forth. And that's what happens. Okay, when changes like this happen, then we just become creative, and find other ways to um, become more creative, more artistic, right? Because that is the goal. So anyway, I wanted to redo this podcast episode because it's so important, so important. Okay, I don't see these type of trances too much, and normally, when I do the episodes, I will say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe what's going on," and it's not that I'm you know, a fear monger type of astrologer, okay, but I am real, so I will say things that you know um, can be a little bit scary or fearful, but that's not the goal. Okay, the goal is just to be real and just to prepare. We should not fear anything. The Bible says many times not to fear, and so that is what's going on. And um, so what's going on is this moon in Cancer that has to do with real estate, has to do with families. It's conjuncting Jupiter. Okay, Jupiter is expansive, is lucky, is blessed. It is where you get your blessings. Okay, it's also revelation, so it reveals a lot of things going on when it comes to families, when it comes to real estate, when it comes to children. Okay, so the main topic are those type of themes. But when the moon is our emotions of how we feel, and it comes together with Jupiter, then it is about blessings, right? So we might feel a certain way of we might be feeling really good. Maybe we took a shower because Cancer rules water, right? I know I did, and I took a spiritual bath, and I felt really, really good after. And I don't know, I just felt really good because my body has been feeling a little bit tired, with a lot of energy as well, but it just kind of a little bit heavy, and sometimes when that happens it's because you're picking up other people's energy. Okay, and so you got to release that, and a lot of times taking a bath, taking a sea salt bath, taking a shower or something like that, you feel so much rested, especially in the sign of Cancer that has to do with water. You could go to the beach, you could go to the lake, you could go to the ocean or anything like that, go on vacation or something. It actually right now would be a great time for vacation time. It is, not all the time is too great, but as far as the transits that I've seen, I was like, it's a great time for those that can. And so when also the moon, and because it's in Cancer, it rules food. So we might be eating comfort food, maybe macaroni and cheese, maybe some chocolate chip cookies with milk or something. Or we might want to cook a soup or something, for our families. Something like that could happen. And I really hope that you guys can hear me. You know what? I think you could because it has the bars. I'm trying not to focus on that, but it would really suck if I am talking, um, I don't know if there's a way I don't. Well, I think you guys could hear me because well, I'm just gonna keep talking, and if it doesn't go through, then it was not meant for me to put this podcast tonight. Okay, but if it does, awesome. Okay, 'cause I got my tea lights on. Okay, and I'm like, come on, give me some support over here, spirit. You know, God, angels, because I did do, a whole hour of the podcast episode for the Astroweather only because it's so important, and it didn't go through. Obviously, I did not have I didn't have the microphone attached to to my iMac. And this is the first time that I'm doing this live on the iMac. Okay. This is my second live, and the first live that I did it on the phone. And this second live, I'm doing it on the iMac computer. So it's a little bit different. I think it's much faster. I could have did it on the phone, but I just said, you know what? I looked on YouTube of how they're doing it, and they say you could do it on your computer as well. So hopefully, I think you guys could hear me because there's a bar going up and down to this. I mean, right and left, right and left. Every time I talk, it moves. So hopefully, anyway, I'm not going to focus on that. Like I said, I'm just going to continue talking, and then I'll review it, and hopefully, you guys could hear me. I do sound well. So so the moon has to do with our eating habits and what we're eating, what we're consuming. And usually when the moon's in Cancer, we're not really counting calories or nothing like that, we're really just enjoying our food, and it's very, you know, um, it's kind of like soul food, or just, traditional food that you like, and so forth. And it rules families. So it has to do with your generations, tradition. Maybe in my generation is tamales. And so we enjoy tamales and so forth. And pozole and stuff like that. And, soup of meatball soup, albondiga soup. And I really enjoy all of that. And so, with Jupiter coming together, you just feel very blessed, very, very abundant. It's really great also for real estate and so forth. And for those that are born with the moon and Jupiter, these are babies that were born happy. I know I was one. I don't have a conjunction, but I do have a trine. Okay, so a trine means that when it's in harmony, it's a triangle. So my moon in Libra is trining my Jupiter in Aquarius, and they're both air signs, So they even told me when I was born laughing, you know, like I would laugh for anything, I just thought everything was funny, and I think that's cool, you have a baby that just laughs for anything, has a Joker smile and so forth. I love those babies that just laugh. Who was it? I think it was yeah, it was my nephew. When my nephew, um, not my oldest nephew, but my second nephew, the smaller one, when he was born, he also not like a baby, but when he was already growing into, like maybe 3 4 months, um, he would just look at you and he would just smile, big old smile, and it's interesting. We have the same transit. He also was born with the moon in Libra and Jupiter in Aquarius. So we both have it. So it's about, having laughter in your life and just thinking anything's funny, These are comedians and so forth. And so, it's a wonderful time right now for family, for real estate, for being in your home and feeling just really good and warm and stuff like that. And so let me look at I wanted to start off with that because another thing too, because I already did the podcast, I already know what I have to say. Because usually when I read charts, I'm analyzing them and looking at them. But since I already did an hour of an episode in the podcast about the astro weather with these transits, I already know what I have to say. So hopefully this one won't be too long, because it's already what 11:35 p.m. So Yeah, but it's okay. I'm hearing something about stalling, or they stall you or something. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but I don't quit. That's the problem, is that I don't quit. And I am not going to give them the pleasure to see me quit, or the pleasure of like, haha, we did whatever it is. Like, grow up, grow the hell up, okay? Because I can't stand immature people. Um, so another thing too here, let me refresh here, because this is not a problem. I love talking about astrology. I can talk astrology all freaking day. Okay. I could be at a restaurant just talking to people and just noticing the environment, or just talking about like, oh, this and this is in astrology. This is what's happening in astrology. You know what I mean? I just love it. Or if you understand it, not everybody does, but once, you're around other astrologers, you're like, yeah, and this, and you're all learning from each other as well, because there's different type of astrologers. I'm a psychic astrologer. Okay. I'm also analytical, because I have a bunch of air. The what I have the most is air. I have, I think, 6 placements in air, so that's a lot of air. And I'm also very psychic, because I have stellium in water, and that means 3 or more planets in water in Pisces, and very intuitive, very psychic. I get a lot of dreams, a lot of prophetic dreams. Okay. I can interpret also dreams as well. And that's something I also tapped in and learned on my own, and by buying books and all this stuff. But it helped me more in my spiritual life. I guess I'm just like Joseph from the Bible, right? Joseph in the Bible, he interpreted dreams, right? He had the gift. See, God gives us all gifts. And he had the gift of interpretation of dreams, and that's how he became wealthy. He was able to interpret dreams, um, and 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 interpret dreams to the king, to important wealthy people. And they noticed his ability and his talent, and they hired him, and they gave him, they made him actually king. They gave him a ring and a coat and everything else. They treated him royalty, because he had this gift, and he saved the world. Okay. He saved the world with his interpretation of a dream of what the cows meant, right? What the skinny cows meant and what the fat cows meant, right? And so he was able to say, there's going to be an economic crisis. Okay. Just exactly what we're going through, right? We're preparing for this real estate crisis, or this real estate crash that can happen. This is the year of reset. It's a one. So there are a lot of people that are interpreting through astrology, through dreams, or anything like that, of a lot of changes that are going to happen this year as a one. Okay, the one is a reset. Okay, it's a global reset. And this is why you're going to start seeing a lot of the stock market crashes, the dollar coming down or rising up, either one. Definitely, we're going to have the Chiron and Taurus that rules real estate, and that is going to be something else. Okay. Because right now we have Chiron in Aries, and Chiron in Aries has been here for a number of years. And what it's taught us is to be a leader. What it's taught us is to be independent. It has taught us to be courageous. Okay. Be that superhero that you need to be in your life. And for me, it's taught me to be Wonder Woman, right? For guys, it might be Batman or Superman or the Joker. I don't know. But anyway, and just think about the things you've done and how you rescued your family, right? I know, in Riverside, in San Bernardino Mountains, where my family used to live, there was a big old giant tree that fell. And I know because they told me about it, and I was like, wow. And there was a lot of fires going on. There's always forest fires down there in the San Bernardino Mountains. And for some reason, a tree um, fell, and it almost smashed their house. And, it's crazy because at that time, my brother in law was working in another location, and he was not there. So my sister had to be brave, and she had to rescue her kids. and they were able to escape, you know, and they did have, you know, the church to help them and all this, you know, or people around there, you know, the community. But they were able to, she was able to escape the kids out of that situation, and the tree was going timber, and it was going to, I think it did land on the snow or somewhere in the pavement there, and then it went into this fire, you know, and I was like, whoa, and it was gonna go right on top of the house, you know. So there were a lot of situations going on like that over there, you know, in the San Bernardino Mountains. There's always fires and there's snow and all of that, you know, so you just never know down there in the woods. Um, but you know, that's something that she had to become a superhero, you know, and she, you know, without her husband's help, and you know, she had to do it and take her, you know, secure their family, and you know, and it's interesting times that with Chiron and Aries, you know, and she's a natural because she does have Aries in her chart. But you know, what if you don't have Aries in your chart? You know, then you have to manifest. You not manifest. You have to master the Aries, right? You got to be brave. You got to be courageous, and so it's been a teaching. It's been teaching us of how to be brave, how to be courageous, how to lead, how to not be afraid, you know. And you know, hopefully, you know, it's wrapping up already, okay. And so for it's going to give us a sneak peek this summer, okay. Chiron is going to enter Taurus for a couple of, I think it's a couple of weeks, I don't know, I think 2 months or 3 months, and it's just gonna be a little teaser, you know. It's just gonna let us know, like Aries is gonna leave for like 3 months, and then Taurus is gonna jump in there, and then now with Taurus, it's gonna be a whole different story. Now we're talking about marriages. Now we're talking about, it's more serious with Taurus, okay. With Aries, it was the ability to get famous. Like you were able to get famous. Like if there was a destruction or something, fire or something, and you had to be brave, all of a sudden you got famous, you know, or you got more known, or you got an applause, or you got an award or something, you know. And with Taurus is holy, is totally different. I don't know why I say holy. Um, and it's totally different with Taurus. And well, okay, maybe that's what it is. Holy. Holy came out of my, see, I pay attention to stuff like that because when words come out of my mouth, I know a lot of times that it's not me, it's spirit, you know, it's God, it's angels. And I said the word holy. So what's going to impact is going to be religion and faith. The church, okay, the church rules Taurus, and it's about tradition. It's like the Pope, the Vatican, um, business people, okay, Italians, you know, Hispanics as well. They're very Taurus. The Illuminati is Taurus. So you know, when it's in Chiron, is something that hurts. It's something that needs to heal. Okay, something that there's a healing aspect that needs to happen because something fell, something crashed. Okay, something happened, and now you got to heal. Now you got to find healing. You got to go find. Excuse me. You got to go find a therapist. And drink some water here. And so now you got to find a therapist and get some therapy and get some help. That's going to be so interesting because that rules business. This rules restaurants. It rules real estate. I feel real estate prices are going to come down. They're going to plummet. Will there be a real estate crash? I believe so. And I'm just being honest, okay? Because when you have Chiron, this asteroid of healing, and Taurus has to do with real estate, there could be that it could be that the prices come down. Maybe that's some sort of healing for the people that are going to rent or the people that are going to buy. It's a great thing for buyers, but for sellers, it's not such a great thing. They're going to probably have to cut their losses, and even though they don't want to, but you know, it's going to happen. And I don't know why when I was posting the first live, that didn't happen because my microphone was not hooked on right. Um, I seen somebody has shared in my town, San Pedro, and they were sharing an article, something about some LA apartments that were purchased with Newsom money, you know, Gavin Newsom. something to do like 1.3 billion or something. And with that money, they purchased some apartments. I think they were for homeless people. I don't know if those apartments are for homeless people, that they're doing in Los Angeles. So there we go. That's that Chiron Taurus. Taurus has to do with real estate, and Chiron has to do with healing, right? So there could be some therapy with the homeless people. They don't know where to place them, so they might be placing them in apartments that cost a lot. Kind of it's like luxurious apartments with Gavin Newsom money, and here in California. So that's interesting there. We're starting to see that already. And this is going to happen in the summer, this summer, okay? And it's going to be here only for a couple months, and then it's going to jump off. And then Aries is going to jump back in there, okay? And then we're going to continue that superhero theme to the end of the year. And then next year, then Taurus will go full throttle, for about, I think, I think it's 8 years, 7, 8 years, something like that. Don't quote me. I have to look at um, the chart there, which is called the ephemeris, and it gives you the dates there. But it's a number of years. Okay, it's not like 1 or 2 years. Once it goes full throttle next year, there's going to be a lot of change with real estate. A lot of change. A lot of prices could go down, or it could be that a lot of prices they can't go high. Okay, they cannot go high. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that right now, because when it comes to the healing, okay, this Chiron there's the healing because something fell. There's a healing that needs to be done when it comes to real estate. Okay, the prices might be too high, and people can't afford those type of prices, especially in an economy that is breaking down. In an economy that there's chaos, there's fires, there's wars, and there is stock crashes. Okay, all of a sudden they said, I don't know how much was lost, and they said, oh my god, I can't believe that all these stocks, and it was like a lot of money, that automatically, like overnight, it went down, and we're going to start seeing a lot of that. We're going to adapt to that. We're going to start getting used to seeing a lot of that, and get used to it, because there's going to be a lot of loss in stocks. It's not just going to affect the poor people or the middle class people, it's going to affect also the wealthy people. And so that's something to think about. Okay, it's something that we need to heal when it comes to money. Worth. Okay, worth is going to be really big. Okay, with Taurus, where with Taurus is about wealth and knowing yourself, and if you're a female, being that empress, and smelling good, looking good, dressing well, and all of us are going to go through that. And for the men, it's going to be uh, most likely how they are in a marriage, father figures, and also not only that, but being entrepreneurs, um, and the real estate market, and so forth, and how to be stable. And I feel there's going to be this instability that is going to enter our lives, and we have to heal if we're not stable. And that's going to be interesting because Uranus is entering Gemini, where there's instability. Okay, so we're having a lot of energies that kind of sounds very like hypocrite energies, because it's like, okay, well, we need to heal this about real estate and stability, but then here's over here Uranus and Gemini that's going to make us unstable. I'm like, yeah. And maybe that's why too, because Uranus in Gemini is very like rebellious, and it rules young people, but it rules the collective, it rules all the people. And but a lot of young people are going to be making a lot of money because they're rebellious, you know, and and then we got the energies over here of Chiron and Taurus that has to deal with real estate and worth. Okay, so it's Uranus and Gemini is going to be very chaotic. So I suggest you protect your head, you become positive, read books, be around positive people. There's going to be a lot of propaganda. There's going to be just a lot of lies. There's going to be, we already experienced it last year, and it was really mayhem. It was really crazy. I decided that I was like, you know what? I might have to disconnect, because this is not good for my head. This is not good, and and I have second house of money in Gemini, so I should be in the forefront. I should be out there, but I also have to protect, my mind, right? Because there's a lot of crazy people. I ran into a lot of crazy people, very rebellious. So it just also depends. Look at the patterns, look at the patterns, and surround yourself around good people and good communities and so forth. Because if you're in those bad communities, you're going to notice a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of chaos, and there's going to be chaos already everywhere around the world. I mean, even if you travel to London, or you travel to Paris, you travel to, I don't know, anywhere you go, you might even encounter in those areas chaos. So no one's safe, but it's not to be fearful. It doesn't mean you can't travel. It doesn't mean, I would suggest getting an astrocartography chart reading. It's going to be on my website, by the way, at www.starzenith33.com. And I'm going to be doing readings there in case you want to travel somewhere. You want to see, what frequencies are trending, what frequencies on your chart, and the place you want to go to if you're aligned with it, and what you can encounter, right? Because you don't want to travel somewhere where there's Pluto. Because if Pluto's there, there's going to be a lot of shootings, there's going to be a lot of stealing, okay? And you could also end up dead or something, or be in the wrong location, wrong time, wrong location, and unfortunately things like that happen, right? But you do want to go where there's Venus and the sun and the moon. Those are beautiful places where you can find love, where you can find wealth, where you can feel good, where you can feel appreciated. Things flow, okay? Flow with ease. Things that are just easy, you know what I mean? You want to enter those places. Um, so another thing too here, so with the moon and Jupiter right now is a time of manifestation, a time to be in gratitude, a time to thank God, thank God for your family, thank God for your children. So I label this emotional wealth activation because that is what it is. It's our emotions that are tied to this wealth activator that we're activating in us, okay? By manifesting, by prayer, by being passionate over what we're doing. See, I could have quit. I could have been like, I'm not going to do this again. I am a little bit tired, I'm not going to lie, because this is, when I complete this is going to be 2 hours, The first hour was wasted because I didn't have my microphone on there, and I don't blame nobody but myself. But mistakes happen, you know what I mean? I'm just diving in and taking a chance and being risky with these lives. And the reason I'm doing this is not about how many people are joining in here or anything like that. It is about just having to attract attention towards my podcast, because I'm barely new here in Podbean. And this is a way for me to just attract the attention. You can still listen to it on the replay, and I will post the link there on the replay, or maybe they could just click on this. But that's what I'm going to be doing up until May 18th. Okay. And I don't know, I like it. There's a little bit more pressure on me to, do the right thing, and not the right thing, but I mean, interpret the transits in a better way, because now there's a little bit more pressure, that there are people that are listening live. They just have to click on it and they listen to me live. So that's what's happening. And let me check in what house is it, because earlier when I did the first podcast, it was in the 9th house of countries and anything international. So it was also with travel and food and culture, marketing, all of that. See, it moved already. It's no longer in the 9th house. So now where we have the moon, let me see here. The moon is now in the 8th house of transformation, okay? And the motto there is we have, okay? So the 8th house has everything to do with financial, moral, spiritual, and physical support you receive from other people, okay? It encompasses legacies, trusts, wills, taxes, insurance matters, as well as any inheritance of money, goods, or characteristics. Okay, so the eighth house also governs death, um, executors, funerals, deep research. Okay, having to do some deep research, investigation, hidden assets, hidden riches. Okay, like treasure chests, or anything to do with the lottery. Okay, also occult matters. Anything mediumship, a lot of things are being discovered right now, like secrets, they're diving into this whole bank. One thing that I heard today. Well, not that I hear, but I seen in X, and it was this one guy, and he was talking about BlackRock. BlackRock. The mega financial that has a lot of money, that pretty much controls all banks and stuff. Well, they said that they did a video. They shown a video, and they said that BlackRock is big, but it's not as big as you think it is. That Merrill Lynch owns BlackRock. And then they said, and who owns Merrill Lynch, right? So if Merrill Lynch, which is the other financial, banking for like equity and homes and mortgage and all that, if it owns BlackRock, who owns Merrill Lynch, right? And they said Bank of America, right? And and I was like, what? I was like, that's weird. I didn't even know that they were that big. So Bank of America, well, initially was Bank of Italy, right? And they showed the founder of the Bank of Italy. I think he was called Giannini or something like that. I forgot what his name was, but he was a Taurus. So I think he was born May 7th, I think, or May 5th, something around there. I was like, oh, he's a Taurus. So Taurus are bankers. Anywhere where you have Taurus is bankers, and this is why when Chiron goes in Taurus, there's going to be a lot of healing with Taurus people or Taurus money, real estate, anything like that. Financial people, okay, big financial people, okay. That's why I said Illuminati's a Taurus. They actually were founded in Germany, and in a Taurus season, in May. So, or anybody that, Taurus, like they make a lot of money or they're in real estate, and there's going to be some healing, okay, that needs to happen. And the reason being for that is because I have to breathe a little bit because, and just thinking about the transits that's going to happen this summer. This summer is going to be like a whole movie. This Chiron and Taurus at where you have to heal money or real estate or anything like that, restaurants or a business coming down, is going to square, it's going to challenge Jupiter and Leo. Okay, Jupiter is also going to enter Leo in the summer. Okay, that has to do with royalty, that has to do with people with a lot of money and luxury and all of that, and also entertainment. And so they're going to square each other, they're going to challenge each other. Okay, and not only that, but also Jupiter in Leo is going to challenge the North Node in Aquarius. No, it's going to oppose. It's going to oppose. It's going to oppose the North Node in Aquarius. Okay. So there's something about technology, something about robots. Okay. They're not going to be accepted. There's going to be this opposition with that Jupiter and Leo. It seems that the Jupiter and Leo does not want to accept the technology. It's too much. It's too robotic. It's too much, and so Jupiter and Leo is not going to accept it. It's just not. And not only that, but um, the robotics, the technology, the AI with the North Node in Aquarius, right? Which is what's fated, what's destined. It's about to come. I mean, we can't stop it. It's going to come, but it's going to come with chaos. Because why? Because first of all, Jupiter and Leo is not going to like it, and it's going to pretty much oppose it. And Chiron and Taurus is not going to like it. Chiron and Taurus, this is why it's healing, right? It's a little bit too traditional and maybe not too much open-minded, and doesn't want to release control of the human side, which you shouldn't. um, and so it's not going to be so trustworthy, whatever robots are being put out there and so forth. And but this is why Chiron is in Taurus, because it has to heal something in within the Taurus, within businesses and so forth. And also Taurus rules luxury, okay? And so there's this luxury that's going to fall, okay? Because also the Chiron in Taurus is also going to challenge Jupiter and Leo, okay? So two types of luxury there, Taurus and Leo, and they're challenging each other. And then the Jupiter and Leo with the North Node in Aquarius of technology doesn't like it. So it's like a whole triangle there where they're just not getting along. They're opposing, they're challenging it. I don't like that. I don't like this. No, no, we're better. No, we're, you know what I mean? And so, no, no, it might be Hispanics and Italians. I could see that going on or something like that, um, in some kind of way. But another thing, too, is that the South Node is going to be in Leo. Okay. So this Jupiter is going to come together with the South Node, which is what we release, what we let go. So eventually, that Jupiter in Leo, it's heart based. So it is about having passion and love for humanity, right? But also, it's going to eventually go away as well on the South Node. And the focus and the emphasis is going to be on the North Node in Aquarius, which has to do with AI. It has to do with robots. But I don't think that you should be one or the other. Okay. I think that you should overlap it, what I call sandwiching it, and have, that Jupiter Leo of the heart base for people. And also at the same time, use AI to not overcomplicate your work, simplify it, make it easy, take shortcuts with AI. Now people are cloning themselves because they want the clone to do all their work while they go and travel to Greece, to travel to Cancun, to travel somewhere else while the clone is doing all their work. So, I mean, if you're open to that, to have time freedom, then that's something you could try. I want to try it. Okay. And, to me, it's just more about having less responsibilities and having more freedom. Okay. Because that's my energy right now, especially this year, as a 5 personal number. When you're a 5, you're adventurous, you like to travel, you like to have your own schedule and so forth. They cannot control you and nothing like that. You're fun, and things don't get to you anymore. And this is like with the podcast that I did that I messed up, and my fault, I didn't have the microphone on there. But I said, when I realized, like, I was reviewing it, I was like, oh my God, there's no sound. And I just laughed. The old me would have been so mad. Like, but what's the point of getting mad? I think a lot of it also has to do with Jupiter right now that's transiting with the moon. Like, oh, well, if it means that much, just do it again. And that's what I'm doing right now. And so things like that just don't bother me no more. I just kind of laugh about it, like, what can I do? This is part of testing and putting myself out there, and it's not always gonna be a success. And you're gonna fail, and it's okay as long as you get back up and say, I'm gonna do it again. You know, let's do it again, right? And so until you get used to it, and you're a pro at it. So now that we talked about the moon and Jupiter, which is very important in the eighth house of other people's money, is the people you connect, the contracts that you enter. I do want to say also this asteroid of Israel is, wow, it's at 11 degrees, okay? Exactly the moon. So the moon and this asteroid of Israel is coming together, and there's this emotion, and you don't have to be Jewish, okay? This is just about faith and belief, in God, and at 11 degrees of communities, okay? Something about community, something about friends, and when it comes to the moon, has to do with females, femininity, maybe supporting the female, you know, that is coming together with Jupiter that has to do with love and expansion and humor and so forth. And in the eighth house of other people's money, you know, maybe this female is helping you how to make more money, or how to strategize. And that's a wonderful thing. Okay. Another thing too is I do want to, let me get off that one there. Um, hang on here. Okay, so the moon is making an opportunity with abundancia. Okay, so there's this astro called abundancia, which is about abundance, right? It doesn't have to be money all the time. It could be food. It could be different type of homes. It could be businesses and so forth. And it's at the 16th degree of ancestors. Okay, um, I would say it has something to do with land, and the moon is getting along very well with this asteroid of abundancia. So there's a lot of abundance in the sign of Taurus at a 16 degree of family. So there's a lot of families going on here, a lot of frequencies with families. And it's getting along very well. Okay, it could be in your local community where, let me just double check here. Yes, it's in the sixth house of service. Okay, where abundancia is in Taurus. So it is about adapting. It is about work, health habits, employment, employees, tenants, servants, pets. Okay. It's the service given to others in your community. Hygiene, interest in food, our diet, ways to be healthy. Okay. The sixth house has to do also with relationships to your employer, attitudes towards work, sharpening your skills. Okay. The ability to use the mind in practical ways, and responsibilities as well. Okay. Um, and it's also how we handle crisis. Okay, when crisis comes into our lives, that's why a lot the sixth house rules nurses. Okay, it rules nurses in hospitals, because is imagine a nurse in the ER is how she handles crisis. So that could be there, and it's in the sign of Taurus. Okay, that has to do with wealth and so forth. And there's an opportunity there with the moon. Okay, it's getting along very well with the moon and Jupiter. um Let me see here. Another thing too is that the moon is making a trine to Mercury. So it's in harmony with our communication and what we are communicating. Okay, it's very important where we are communicating. We're moving forward now. No more retrograde. And it's in the sign of Pisces. So the moon in Cancer is water, and Mercury in Pisces is water. So they get along very well. Although Mercury in Pisces is not the best, but we're moving forward. And it's more about, not so much about analyzing and being, you know, perfect or anything, like perfecting anything, but it's more about your vision. It's exactly what happened to me, that, you know, the first podcast didn't happen. It was a total bomb, you know, total fail. And it's okay, you know, it's okay, because it's not about perfectionism, it is about the vision, right? And so I'm a visionary person, you know, although I do have a lot of error, but I'm a visionary person, and this is why I manifest things into my life, you know, pretty easy, because I am very creative, very colorful, and very visionary. And that's very Pisces energy. And that's why Mercury in Pisces does well with visions and dreams and prophecy, all of that. And especially me. I mean, I have it at the 17 degree, Mercury Pisces, 17 degree of Leo. So in retrograde. So this has to do with the past, with the royals, prestige and fame and leaders and military from the past. There's a very fascinating stuff going on there in my past. um, Another thing too here is that the moon is in trine with Mars. Okay, Mars is in Pisces as well, and they're both water signs, and they're getting along very, very well. Let me see, Mars. is Mars is in the fourth house of real estate, of your home, of your roots, lineage, all of that, okay? Where you belong. The motto there is I belong. So it has anything to do with your home, heritage, ancestry, hereditary, property, real estate, houses. It also has to do with roots and your private life, okay? Psychological environment, all of that. And it's security. It's your security, your stability, the fourth house in Pisces. So there's something about um, Mars is very aggressive in Pisces in your home or your community or something to do with your roots, your lineage, your ancestors, and is making a trine to the moon in Cancer that has to do with the child, or it has to do with children in your community, okay, or circles, or through circles or friends, coming together with Jupiter with expansion, okay. And another thing too here, let me see what else. So it could be something, with real estate, you know, or in your house or in your community, okay, that's getting along very well with the moon. Um, let's see here. The moon, just click it here. Um, okay, so we talked about the moon coming together with Jupiter. The moon is also making a trine. Beautiful aspects, I have to say. They're all getting along with the moon. Or the moon is getting along with all of them. The moon is trining the North Node in Pisces. This has to do fate, destiny. Right now in Pisces, it's very cool, calm, and collected. When it goes into Aquarius, it's going to be a whole different shebang. But right now in Pisces, enjoy it while you can. Because when it goes in Aquarius, it's going to get rebellious. Okay, this is where we're going to see maybe wars and with robotic wars and all of that stuff. So that's going to be in another podcast. But for right now, with the North Node in Pisces, has to do with the water, with ocean, beaches, lakes, all of that. Okay. And it's also making an opportunity also with the South Node in Virgo. Okay, so it's getting along very well with the past. Okay, and it has to do with ancestry. Okay, when it comes to that. Um, Interesting what's happening in Cuba, right? Because the whole Virgo South Node that has to do with Cuba, with ancestors, Cuban ancestors that are more like into their religion. They're like Yoruba religion and so forth. That has a lot to do with that Virgo South Node. And it's interesting because today, um, usually it's when you're taking a shower, you hear or you get ideas, you become more creative. Well, when I was taking a shower, Cuba has always, I'm always worried, not worried, but I'm always concerned about worldly matters, and I think it could be because my North Node, which is fate and destiny, is in my ninth house of countries, but also because my family they do partly come from Cuban ancestry, and so I was getting ideas in the shower. I don't know, things were just coming down. A lot of downloads were coming to me, but one of them was about to light up a candle for the Virgin of Cuba, and her name is Caridad del Cobre, and she's Mother Charity, you know, and I think cobre is copper, so she's very abundant, okay, and for those that study the whole religion of like Yoruba, she will be called Ochun, and she's very a beautiful mother, and she cares for the people in Cuba. And I heard something about they have to do charity work. There's a big old chaos going on where they're just feeding them one egg and one piece of bread in Cuba. And I say it that way because I'm just like, that is so ridiculous. But that's the government over there. That's what they're just giving them one egg to people because they don't have food to eat over there. Um, and so I don't know. Supposedly Trump wants to take Cuba over, and he might. Okay, he might if they don't get their act together and start feeding those people. But they're only giving them one egg and one piece of bread per family or something like that, or per person. Not a whole carton of eggs, just one egg. And so those people are starving down there in Cuba. And this is that chaos to creation that's happening that we are going to go through. that first there has to be chaos in order for creation to happen. And that is what's going down there. But I heard something about lighting a candle to Caridad de Cobre to do a what is it, uh, an offering. That's where we go. To do an offering by just lighting a candle to her, to pray for the people of Cuba, because there's something about charity that needs to be done. Okay, uh, to be charitable, maybe with the Cuban people, because there's no food for them. I think they had no electricity. I don't know how they're surviving. There was people that were dying in the hospital. The old people, old Cubans were dying in the hospital. That's something so sad. If you know that you can help these people, and the government can do something about it, why isn't he doing anything about it? And these poor old men are in tears, and they feel incarcerated in their own home, and they have no electricity. And I could imagine the weather over there is real hot, and sticky, and so it's just interesting, what's going on. Not interesting, but it's unfortunate what's going on down there. But I heard something about Caridad de Cobre that could help them, or there's some charity that needs to be done, and that was downloaded to me today. So anyway, let's hop in more. I mean, it does matter, but I have to keep going here. The moon also is making an opportunity with Midas, is this asteroid of the Midas touch. So anything you touch turns to gold. Okay, so you could be lucky in that, maybe lottery gains, gambling a little bit, not a lot, a little, or maybe anything you touch turns to gold. It could be something like that. Um, the moon also is making an opportunity with silver for those that invest in silver. It's a great time for that. I just say the moon is conjuncting Israel. Um, and I do have to say something important. The moon is opposing Christian. Okay. There's this asteroid called Christian, and it's in the sign of Capricorn at 13 degrees of Aries that rules leaders. Okay. So I see this is a big deal here, where there's going to be these arguments with like pastors or spiritual leaders in the church or something like that, as this moon is transiting in Cancer that has to do with families and children and real estate. Because Christian asteroid at 13 degrees, it could even be corrupted pastors. I've been seeing a lot of that in YouTube. They have these pastors. There's some videos of they're catching these pastors that are reading tarot cards, and they're reading tarot cards in TikTok. I'm like, what? And it's true. You go on YouTube and search pastors reading tarot cards, and there's a lot of videos on that. And this is something that's coming out of, they want to make money, so they're reading tarot cards in TikTok. So I don't know if this is propaganda. I don't know if this is true or not, but it shows there the videos, and they show the face of the pastor and what he's doing, and that they believe that they could use their Christianity with tarot cards. And but maybe somebody else could do that, but not a pastor. Not a pastor of a church. So I don't know, it is becoming very corrupt, very rebellious, and so forth. 13 degrees of Aries, just for fame, maybe to get more eyeballs to the church or something. I don't know. But I'm just reading what the chart is telling me. Okay, and it's in the sign of Capricorn. It has to do with business and money. So this Christianity, and it's something shameful. God must be like, shame, 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 shame on you. And so this Christianity asteroid is coming together with Folis. Okay, Folis in Capricorn has to do with business. It has to do with tower moments. So they're going to have tower moments. There's going to be some churches that are going to come down. Some pastors are going to come down as the economy comes down and does a reset. So are some churches. Okay, they're going to be these fake pastors. Okay, we thought they were real, but they're fake. They're getting paid in the second house, okay, of money. And full is where it's at. It's at 12 degrees of loss, 12 degrees of it's over, game over. And there's some loss where it comes together with the asteroid of Christianity, okay? And it doesn't mean that Christianity is going to go away. It means the leaders, okay, that are ruling certain churches that are probably pedophilers because it's opposing children. It's opposing the moon in Cancer. Cancer has to do with children, okay? And so maybe something is being exposed, something is being done, especially because the moon is coming together with Jupiter. And what does Jupiter do? It exposes, okay? It's exposing the foliage in Capricorn with Christianity in Capricorn. And I'm not talking about Capricorns, where I'm talking about the energy of Capricorn that has to do with business, okay? Churches is a business, okay? They should pay taxes. Some pay taxes, some don't. I don't know. But it's considered a business. A church is considered a business, okay? And it could be very cultish as well with this Christianity at 13 degrees of Aries, okay? So there could be some drama there, especially also because it comes together with this asteroid Amoni that has to do with a lot of money. So these are these churches that are getting paid a lot of money, and some corruption is being exposed by Jupiter in Cancer. Okay, now Jupiter in Cancer also has to do with the United States. Okay, Jupiter in Cancer, that was founded with the United States was founded, and they have a lot of Cancer as well. That's why in the United States women rule. Okay, women in the United States have favor over men. Okay, even though men don't want to accept that, but it's the truth, you know, and that's because the United States has a lot of Cancer there. Cancer astrologically. So that's what I see here with the moon and business that could fall. But it's doing really great aspects when it comes to Pisces, when it comes to Mars and the North Node, and you know, abundance in Taurus that has abundance. But the only problem there is just with these leaders in business, okay? And full is at 12 degrees is what comes down. It's a tower moment. It's kind of like a 9/11, to tell you the truth. Full is at 12 degrees is over. It's a loss. It's coming down, and it has to do with Christianity. It has to do with these fake leaders that are pretending to be good leaders and they're not. So that's being exposed at the moment. So anyway, I'm going to end it here because I think it's probably might cut me off. I'm already going to be at an hour 58 minutes already. So and I need to head out to bed. So anyway, if you guys enjoyed the episode, like it, share it, subscribe it, tell your friends, continue to follow it. I'm going to be doing this weekly, and I'm going to be doing these lives weekly until I get used to doing it. And hopefully this one goes through. If not, then I will just do another way tomorrow. Okay. And maybe I'll do it through my phone or something. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great night, and I will talk to you guys soon.